Exercise 13 deals with disinfectant technique. One of the things that I want to point out, technically this is a misnomer for the lab, and misnomer means it's kind of a bad name. I'll explain, just give me a second. Why are we going to do this? That's always the first thing you ask. Why are we doing this? Well, we want to try and see the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of different disinfectants as far as washing our hands. Now, this is where the misnomer part comes in. According to your book, a disinfectant is something that is used to kill microorganisms on inanimate objects. These are animate objects, they're not inanimate. It's not a table, it's not a floor. So technically it probably should be antiseptic techniques, because an antiseptic is actually something that removes or kills microorganisms from tissue, which is what these are. Something to consider. Remember, bacteria are incredibly diverse. Every bacteria is not the same as every other bacteria. With that in mind, just like with antibiotics, there is not one disinfectant that will kill everything. I understand Lysol says that it'll kill 99.9% of germs. Remember how many germs actually exist, though. The number of germs on this planet is probably in the billions. So that 0.1% of a billion is a lot. So even with Lysol that does the 99.9%, it's not universal. It can't kill everything. With that in mind, we are going to test out different antiseptics and see which one is more effective. How do we choose what to use? As a microbiologist, we do what all scientists do. We experiment. And honestly, I think people don't understand how much we experiment just in general. I make new recipes, and if it doesn't taste good enough, it doesn't have a lot of flavor, what's the first thing you're gonna do? You're probably gonna add something to it, right? I made a pasta dish the other day, and it was, just add chopped up tomatoes. There wasn't a lot of flavor in it. So next time I make it, I will probably add Rotel, because there's a little bit more taste to those tomatoes than just regular chopped up tomatoes. That's an experiment, because I'm changing one variable and seeing what the result is at the end. So we all do this. It isn't just scientists who experiment. We all do it. In this case, we are experimenting with the disinfectant antiseptic. So we're going to need 2 nutrient agar plates, just 2. One for when we walk in the classroom and our hands are dirty, and one for after we use our disinfectant. One for when we walk into the lab and our hands are dirty, we haven't done anything except walk into the lab, so we're going to put our fingers on top of the control nutrient agar plate. Now, why is it the control? It's the control because we need to know what we start with to see how effective our antiseptic is. Is it effective after we use it? How many bacteria are there after we use it? You need a set of unwashed hands. Most of the time when we walk into the micro lab, the first thing we do is we grab a set of gloves and we use Clorox wipes on the table, and then depending on which student it is, wash your hands. In this case, I don't want anybody washing their hands yet. The disinfectants, it can be anything. It can be hand soap, it can be Lysol. Mouthwash also has antiseptic in it, so you can use that. Alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, hand sanitizer. Any of these options are good options to see what happens? How much is left after you use them? So we're going to take the 2 plates and label each one. One is going to be our control, the other is going to be our antiseptic. So depending on what you used, hand soap, hand sanitizer, Lysol, mouthwash, you're going to put that on your plate. The control plate is where you take your unwashed hands and put your fingertips on the surface. That's all you're going to do. It's not that complicated. But if your hands are unwashed, you're looking to see how many little things are growing on your hands. Now, you're going to wash your hands with whatever you chose to use for 10 seconds. I understand that for it to be 100% effective, according to Dr. Fauci and whoever that's on the news, they say 20 seconds. Seeing the alphabet, A, B, C, one time through and you've got 20 seconds. Okay. But for this experiment, I'm not looking to actually disinfect your hands. I want to see who's better at it out of all of our choices. Timing is important. I don't want it to be a full 20 seconds. I want it to be shorter than that so that we can see. Now, something else, when you're experimenting, you usually only have one variable. In this case, the variable is which disinfectant you're using on your hands. Are you using soap or are you using alcohol? And again, 10 seconds is a really standard time so that it's not variable, because I'm sure that if I went and washed my hands for 10 minutes with hand soap, it would be highly effective. 10 minutes of washing my hands, of course. But if I only used, let's say the mouthwash for 20 seconds and I've got so much growth, that's a huge time difference as far as the product staying on your hand. So what do? Well, we standardize that time. We're going to make it 10 seconds, less than even they say to use it, to see what the difference is. Once you're finished with washing your hands, you're going to again place your fingers on the disinfectant plate, whatever it is. In this case, I chose hand soap. Each member of the group can use a different disinfectant. Right now I have 3 students and myself in micro. So we'll have 4 different things. One student may choose Lysol, one student may choose soap, one may choose alcohol, one may choose hydrogen peroxide. But either way, we're getting results from different disinfectants. We put them in the incubator for 48 hours. After, you're going to compare what you see in the control, where you started, to what you see in the clean hands plate, I'll say, since it's going to be all different disinfectants. But the disinfectant plate, you want to see, did the number of bacteria get smaller? If so, by how much? Is it like nothing growing on that plate in 10 seconds of using Listerine? Or is it there's less, but not that much? Which probably indicates that mouthwash isn't a good idea to use as a disinfectant, or an antiseptic, I should say. You also kind of want to compare the effectiveness of the different things. Look at the 10 seconds with the soap, the hand sanitizer, the alcohol, the hydrogen peroxide. Compare those two. Which one looks the best? Which one has the least amount of growth for using it for 10 whole seconds? If you think back to lecture, one of the things that we mentioned with alcohol as far as its effectiveness, what impedes its effectiveness, it was how fast it evaporates. Alcohol evaporates super quick. And if it evaporates so quick that it doesn't sit on the bacteria long enough to be effective, how effective is it going to be? That 10 seconds might not even be necessary because it's not there long enough to actually do what it's supposed to do. I've mentioned this in the past. One of the reasons that hand sanitizer is the texture that is, this thick texture, is because it's a gel to make that alcohol sit on your hands longer. Make note of those differences. If you don't look at the results and take notes on those results, there's no way for you to go back and go, oh yeah, this worked better than that. This is what we're doing this week. Again, the actual putting together is not really difficult. The weight is a bit difficult because you kind of want to know, but once you have it, it's looking at it and actually making comparisons. That's the part that takes a while. This is actually, somebody had a huge plate and just put their whole hand on it. Yeah, this person needs to wash their hands more often. That's all I'm saying.